Welcome to Queen's Great Dreams with the beautiful Jennifer Sinclair from Common Projects. Now, Jennifer, what are you grateful for today?
Honestly, especially in this it's not even cold, really, but I'm the coldest frog. So I'm honestly just grateful for that I have a roof over my head and just clothes to keep me warm.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I'm actually going to New Zealand and, that's going to be super cold, but...
Yeah. Good luck to you. I won't be there.
Well, I'm grateful that I have finally booked a holiday and going to New Zealand. So I'm on countdown, 1 week to go.
Oh, nice. You got to treat yourself.
Yeah, a big solo snow trip. Hopefully I make the slopes back down.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no, solo skiing. That sounds horrific. To me.
I'm like going out of my comfort zone here.
Yeah.
I've never done a solo trip.
Yeah.
It'll be really fun, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I just love traveling solo. Like, there's no time limits. You get to wander off the streets wherever you want. And I've done a little bit of solo traveling through Prague and Italy.
Oh, I love Prague and Italy.
Few days on my own in like Vietnam and Philippines and that, but I'll always like go and meet up with other groups of people and that. But yeah, just those days that I have, those few days that I have to myself, just to explore. Yeah, and just give myself that freedom. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah,
especially now that we're mums now, it just means even more.
I feel like I'll be a whole new person by the time I get back. Mum will finally be relaxed.
Yeah, well, for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that is true. I'll walk through the door and one child will be clinging on me.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about you. Like, where have you come from? Where are you now? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, I was born in Hong Kong and moved over here when I was 11 or 12. Yeah, so did high school and uni here on the beautiful Gold Coast. And, yeah, Gold Coast is definitely my home. I just don't think, like, every time I go back to Hong Kong and, it's just not quite me.
Is your family still over there?
Yeah, got family there. So I do go back when I can. We're about to take the kids over for the next school holidays in 8 weeks' time. So wish me luck. I've got my 3-year-old. And,
For no good.
Oh, yeah. I've got to add that to my to-do list. But, it'd be great. Like it'll be some of the relatives' first time meeting her, and she's 3.5, almost 4 by then. So
that would be really special.
Yeah, it would be special. It'll just be, won't be a holiday. It'll be...
Oh, I did 5 weeks in Europe last year. Same thing with my 4-year-old. Well, he was 3 at the time. Yeah. And let's say I needed the holiday from the holiday.
Yeah, always.
But same reason I went over for family. They hadn't met him because of the whole COVID and everything like that.
Yeah.
But yes, it was quite challenging. I did enjoy it in parts.
In parts. Like, I think you do it for them as well. I think I've got to remember it's for them as well. So, yeah, and that was always our dream anyway. Like, I love traveling. After my husband and I got married, we did a year travel, and we've always, talked about, that'll be our goal, like to be able to teach and educate our children through travel as well. But yeah, I guess, and then we had kids and we didn't realise life can be so hard.
But we swim through it.
Along. Swim, yeah. Treading through it all. Yeah.
But it's true about like traveling and the education side of things. So my daughter, like she's been to so many countries, and especially third world countries.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
I've always been really fond of traveling with her in that way and showing her how lucky she is.
Yeah.
Here.
Amazing. Yeah. That's it.
Like, we're so lucky in Australia, and you look at third world countries and kids, bartering on the streets, or they've got no shoes. And I know in Fiji she was pointing out like the houses not having roofs on them and everything like that. So I think she now has become so much more grateful for everything she has.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of those experiences and cultures.
Yeah, for sure. And just like recognizing that, you know, our way of living isn't the only way, and it's not necessarily the best way or the right way or the wrong way. Like there's just, you know, so many different people in parts of the world like do things differently, and that's okay. And that's what I really want to like, instill in my kids, and just kind of have that opportunity to be able to show them that. And so I guess like my husband and I, like our goal has always to be able to, you know, build our portfolio through investments, through property shares, so that we're able to have that overflow to be able to give those opportunities to our children.
Yeah, because it is kind of scary. You think like how they're going to buy their first house, or build their investment portfolio. I think it does stem now in this generation to us, to have that, to not give all of it, but to help them start off.
Yeah, exactly. Just more, or even like educate them and teach them the strategies. Yeah. So with our 7-year-old, I think a couple of years ago we started a little like with his pocket money. We've got like 3 different jars, and one is for giving, one is for spending, and one is for investing.
I love that.
So it's kind of just slowly teaching him what, like, okay, how to divide it all. Like, I haven't gotten to percentages yet, but yeah, it's kind of our long-term goal.
And so what did you study at university?
I studied architecture. So yeah, growing up, I always wanted to be a vet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love animals. But then in year 10, when they send you out to do that work experience thing, I had a horrible week at a vet clinic.
What happened?
They just got me cleaning fleas, dogs with fleas, and like there was this huge Great Dane that came in, and I had to literally disinfect his kennel, and I fitted into his kennel, and I just came home that night just thinking, I've got fleas everywhere. Like it was it's
so not sexy.
Yes. And then I had to take the dogs out the back who were on the drips, and it was magpie season. So I had the dog in one arm, his like drip pole on the other, trying to fight this magpie off us. And I was like, don't touch the patient. Yeah, so I didn't get any like exposure or opportunity to actually see, you know, in surgery or anything, which is understandable. But yeah, it totally put me off. And then, you know, I still held on to that dream though. So year 11, I chose my subjects for veterinary science, like biology, chemistry, like all the sciences, but hated it. Like I could not imagine like doing, just learning, biology and chemistry especially.
Yeah.
Not my jam.
I was going to be a pharmacist. And yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So then I changed out of them and went into graphics because, at that stage, the only thing I felt like I could or mildly be interested in is maybe design buildings. So I went to graphics, and that was kind of my first exposure to, I guess, line drawings, kind of trying to see things, you know, everything's 3D, right? But in architecture, you have to like be able to see things in 2D and draw things 2D. And that was actually quite challenging, which was a real surprise.
And is that how then you went to university? After?
Yeah. And then did the 6-year architecture course, and got over it by 4th year.
But you pulled through to the 6 years?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, this is so long. I don't even know what I'm doing here. But yeah, I talked myself into like, you know, stick it out. I've done 4 years. I'll just finish it off. And I'm glad I did, like super glad.
And then what was the next steps after that?
Yeah, so I guess the great thing with the architecture course back when I was studying, they've changed it now, which I don't quite understand why. But back then, prerequisite, like as a requirement to graduate, you have to be working a certain number of hours in an actual firm. And yeah, so that's when I actually got all my, learnt the real life stuff, not through uni. Uni course is great, but it's, very arty-farty. But in an office, that's when I actually got to learn, door heights, door widths, hallway widths, the real things, the real stuff that you actually put into practice every day. And so after that, I just kept working in architecture studios, and I was very lucky that I was able to get my experience through a couple of very highly sought after architects on the Gold Coast and who did very high-end residentials, like the most expensive houses on the Gold Coast. So that was where my training came from. Whereas a lot of my friends at uni, they'd be the juniors in big firms in Brisbane, but all they'd be doing is moving walls in hospital cubicles. That's the sort of work that they would be doing. And so, and they never actually got to see what they were working on in in terms of site visits and stuff. Whereas because I was in a small team, and I actually got to walk through these beautiful mansions on the Gold Coast. I would say I was really lucky in terms of my work experience and being able to not just be sitting in front of a computer drafting, but actually seeing, doing site visits, doing defects, having all that real life experience as well.
Yeah, seeing that end result.
The end result, not just on paper. And but I'm kind of a little bit ruined for life now because high-end residential has been my training, and so I just don't feel like I can now design anything that's not high-end.
You're not ruined. That's just your level of your brand now.
Yeah. But it does come with its challenges as well.
So what kind of challenges?
Oh, sticking within budgets.
Yep. That's always the fun part.
And especially my last project, the duplex, I was so used to designing with so much space, but with the duplex, there's not so much space.
How big was the block?
I mean, the block was, for a duplex, it was actually quite big. The block itself was 506 square meters, and we managed to we worked with Jason Pate.
Yes, he was my designer of my house.
Yeah, great. And he managed to get 290 square meters of internal living space in each duplex. So it's actually really big. It's bigger than
that's nearly as big as my house.
It's bigger than my house, actually. But in terms of width, I just felt oh my goodness, it's so narrow. And so that presented new set of challenges for me because I was so used to, designing with big, grand spaces. So that was a new challenge that I enjoyed it, but it was just a different type of design.
And how long did the project take?
So for that duplex, from start to finish, so from conceptual design phase to handover, was about 20 months. Yeah, 20 months of my life dedicated to that project. But that was my heart project. We've built our family home prior to that, and that was also my heart project. And to me, my building projects are just like my other kids, my other babies. And so,
because you love it.
Yeah. It's a passion project. I love it so much. Like naturally, it energizes me so much in, delivering a home.
And that's when it doesn't feel like work as well, because it is part of you. It's part of your heart. It's part of your passion, part of your drive.
That's it.
So
I heard a saying one day from someone who said, have the courage to find work that is play. And I mean, I know that's not, it's very hard to come by for a lot of people. So that in itself is a real blessing for me, that I feel like I have found my passion, and to be able to do that as a job. Like, I don't know, I do struggle even calling it a job.
Yeah. I'm the same with real estate. I feel weird when I call it a job, because I don't feel like it's a job. I don't feel like, it is a business, but I feel like it's me. Like it's
like ingrained in you. It's
I
your
just
DNA.
love it.
Yeah. But I guess like the challenge in that is also like finding the balance.
So how do you find the balance between your professional and personal life, especially having 2 kids?
How do you find your balance? I'd like to know.
Well, I have no balance at the moment, to be honest. I'm like ridiculously working to 2 a.m. But I guess I'm building my team at the moment. So you'll meet Chelsea. She's coming on the next episode. But I guess we're as women, we're so used to juggling. Yeah. It's just, you just make it work.
Yeah, that's true. You do make it work. But I think also coming to recognise there's always going to be seasons as well. Like there's going to be ebbs and flows. And just because you're in that season of craziness, season of growth, where you do have to put in those extra hours, it doesn't mean that that's going to be forever. So, I was the same, like with this duplex build. My husband wasn't involved in it whatsoever. It was very much Jenn's passion project. But, like I was up till 1 a.m. most nights, because I was also very involved in the design. So that took a lot of time as well. I know a lot of property developers wouldn't be doing what I did.
They would more delegate off?
Yeah. Like it's it's just a different model of doing things. It's not the right or wrong way. But like I was up till 1 a.m. most nights, and kids would be up at 5. So
I hear you.
Surviving the days on 4 hours sleep isn't very good either.
I've started to recognise that. I have actually started to recognise that, this 3 hours sleep is not good. I don't feel tired because I'm so used to it.
Because you're so energised by what you're doing. But
health-wise, I definitely don't think it's the way to go. So, you do get to a point that you're like, okay, what can I do to not rein it in, but put that structure in place, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Because like you said, it's in cycles. So I'm in that cycle of growth. And I even said to someone the other day, I was like, I got to stop listing, because I'm like that point that I'm like, there's not enough time in a day. But I guess I'm lucky in that way as well. So
good problem to have.
It is a good problem, especially in the current market.
Yeah, and being disciplined in how you're going to structure your day and like your priorities as well, which I think one of the biggest learning curves after developing the duplex is just that, basically. Like I found that, I just didn't have balance in life, and it's not sustainable. I can't keep doing this. I just felt like, for my health's sake, and I'm in this for the long run, not just for this one or next 2 projects, I want to be doing this for the long run. And so, all right, well, if it's a marathon, not a sprint, like I'm going to have to put things in place. First step is to get some sleep, respect my body and my health as well, because a few years back with my pregnancy, I lost that. My health declined dramatically, and that's a story in itself. But I now, it's kind of taught me coming, how do you say it, like on the back end of that. Like, so basically over the last 4 years, I think it's been the hardest 4 years of my life, but also now on the back end coming out of it, I think I'm recognizing and acknowledging a lot of the things that it's teaching me. Like, I feel like I'm now heading into that next season where I'm like, okay, time for reflection, time to reflect. How can I do this better? Life just throws curveballs at you. And things are always going to be out of your control, but it's the more how you handle it.
Yeah, it's the choices that you make from it as well.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Some things, like you said, are out of your control, and you just have to realise you got to let that go because you have no handle on that.
Yeah,
but the choices you make from that is what's going to impact the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so I guess like I think I was saying off air just before, like I haven't actually really unpacked it that much. I think I've just been in survival mode after. So basically, my second pregnancy, as soon as I fell pregnant, my body just went downhill. I don't think I really understood what postpartum nutrition really meant after my first pregnancy. And I did find motherhood journey really quite hard, didn't have much support. And me with my independent, nature, I just kept, saying, it'll be fine, I'll be fine, I got this.
You sound
but
like
I didn't.
Yeah, yep. I'm a very
Looking back on
like
it
that.
now, 7 years ago, when I first became a mum, like we had no idea what hit us, and I didn't look after my body. I was just eating crap just to like survive through the nights and stuff. And so I suffered through a bit of chronic fatigue for a couple of years after my first born. And then finally when I felt like, okay, my body's good now, I'm not having to have a nap every day now. Let's try for our second one. And even though I thought my body was ready, it obviously wasn't. So as soon as I fell pregnant, the anemia just like hit me like that. I was no longer able to, was no longer able to like walk up the stairs. But being your second pregnancy, I was like, whatever. Like it's just part of being pregnant. So I just kept, I didn't give it much attention at all. I was like, first trimester, of course I'm going to be tired. And so I just kept going through life. But now that I actually look back on it, my waters actually broke at 21 weeks.
Wow.
And I said, I just didn't even give it a thought.
How did you feel in that moment, but?
I just thought, like it wasn't like, that gush.
Yeah.
That, doesn't, getting a bit graphic here now.
No, my second pregnancy, I had my first bleed at 26 weeks.
Yeah.
So I can definitely relate.
Yeah. So it was more of a slow drip. And that's why I was still just able to like just keep going and whatever. But then, and I was in and out of hospital anyway already, just from being so anemic. And then I went back in for another week, I think at 22 weeks or something, 23 weeks. And then that day that I came home, I literally just dropped my hospital bag into the kitchen, sat down on the stool, and as soon as I sat down, the blood just came. And I was like, oh, okay, right. And that was the very first, like, I guess, moment where it hit me. I was like, okay, something's not right. So we went straight back to the hospital. They did all the tests and they were like, yeah, this is not looking good. This is not what we want. And then, yeah, the conversations just that night was like, we were in COVID, so all the hospitals were full with COVID babies. So it was a matter of like, is there going to be a hospital that has a bed for you? But then the second topic was, okay, you're right at that line, 23 weeks. If the baby comes, they might not even, it's not viable. Like they might not even try to save it. So yeah, I've never straight away, like I just went to uncontrollable shakes, just more out of like, I guess, anxiety. Like it was so out of my control. It was one of like, you know, the last things you would ever want to hear. Realizing it's almost like you're on that roller coaster and it's slowly going up and up and up, and and you're thinking, what did I sign up for? Why am I here? But you have no control over what's going to happen next. And and so they just said, look, they transferred me to Gold Coast Uni Hospital. Luckily there was a bed there that night. And they just said, just do nothing, basically like bed rest, because every single day that bub is in your womb, is a 2% chance of like greater survival rate. So yeah, and then that was the next few weeks. I ended up it was just full time in hospital from there, but then that wasn't the worst. The worst was, what happened afterwards. Like my body just really quickly just started shutting down. To the point where I couldn't even open my eyes anymore.
Got goosebumps.
And like I would wake up in the morning, but I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't move. And I could hear that they'd given me breakfast, and I would think to myself, please don't take my breakfast away, because I will get there. Because there were a few days that I didn't get there in like the 2 hours, and they took it away thinking that I just wasn't interested, but it was just I physically couldn't get my body up to eat. And at night times I couldn't even like reach for the call button to like call the nurses. And I guess long story short, my body was just shutting down.
Yeah. And baby takes all the nutrition that you have left out of you as well.
But they were doing every scan and blood test and under the sun trying to figure out what was going on, what was wrong with me, the amount of like blood that I was losing, the rate that I was like, there was no explanation to it. So basically it was just waiting for that infection. And at 25 weeks, that day came, but the doctor never came to check. We'd been calling and saying, can we get an obstetrician to check? And they never came. And 24 hours later, the head of midwife came and checked, and straight away she was like, no, baby's coming today. Like the infection had gotten that bad. So she called my husband and she was like, you need to come now. And then in the birthing suite, that was just like a whole nother box that I've kind of just put away until now. I think that the one obstetrician, because, being in a public system, like it's every single day, it's different obstetricians that come and check on you. But there was just this one particular one that I felt had my back. Yeah. Like he felt really proactive. Like to me, it felt like he was really proactive in trying to figure out what was going on. And so when I saw him walk in to the birthing suite, I just thought, oh, great, I've got him. I'm in good hands. But then, like, to my shock and horror, he said, oh, no, I'm going to induce you and you'll have the baby naturally.
Wow.
And
So
I
not a
was just
C-section.
like, what? No, like I couldn't even talk. I had no breath to talk. Like it got to the stage where I was just a vegetable laying in bed and my husband would bring my older one, he was 4 at that time, to come and visit me each day. But he didn't, my 4-year-old wasn't even acknowledging mum anymore because there was such a disconnect. Like I'd already gone to that stage where I just couldn't even move, open my eyes. So what do you mean I'm now having to go through labour, put both me and baby at risk and very highly going to end up in emergency cesarean anyway? So that was a real punch in the gut, I think, for my confidence and trust in, someone that I had thought had my back. But I think from that experience and from the whole being bedridden in hospital full time for 4 whole weeks, I really learnt that I need to advocate for myself and for my family, my kids. And I just had to be really strong, even though I was really scared, because it was literally it was a life and death decision.
Oh, 100%.
If I had gone with what he said, a couple of months later down the track, the midwife then told me, when things stabled, the midwife came and said, if you had Bub naturally, she would not have survived. The infection, because she was the one who inspected me, and saw the infection, whereas the obstetrician never did. And
it's so important to have good midwives and obstetricians, because mine's not the same, but I ended up changing my obstetrician within 24 hours because my original obstetrician said as soon as baby, so I was 26 weeks when I had my first bleed, so a lot longer, but I was in and out of hospital every second day. And they gave me the steroids to keep Bub going, but then Bub stopped growing. And that obstetrician I currently was with said once he's under the 10th percentile, then he needs to come out. Then she pushed it to the 5th percentile, and at this time, they're monitoring his heart every second day in hospital, thinking he's not going to survive. So there's a sign in itself. I was like you. I put a firm, I want to change obstetricians. I said, this is a matter of my son's survival.
Yeah.
And I've been going through this for the last 6 weeks, in and out of hospital every second day. You've given us this guideline, and now you're saying at the 5th percentile, no, he's better still in, but he has stopped growing for the last 6 weeks. 6 weeks of not growing. He's in me. And I went to a new obstetrician. This was at John Flynn. And that obstetrician that day said that baby needs to come out, otherwise he's not going to survive.
Oh, my goodness.
So I completely understand how you would have felt in that moment.
I think, at the end of the day, it's also trusting your instincts too, hey?
We have to.
Trusting your own gut and really just stand firm on it. And I just said, out of my breathlessness, I just said, no, I'm having a cesarean. And I was just as blunt as that. And then he just goes, okay, and walks off. And I was like, right, okay. And then worse was that then comes a new obstetrician, because he was actually just going home, he was knocking off. So it didn't matter to him.
Why would you knock off in the middle of someone having to have emergency birth?
Well, that was a whole nother thing, where it just confirmed in me. It's just you know what? Life, everyone else, basically if you're not going to stand up for yourself and advocate for yourself, no one else is.
100%.
Because everyone
that's
else
in
has their
everything we do in
own
life.
things going on as well. And, you know, at times when, you know, you can get really discouraged, feeling like, oh, I'm just another number at a fish and chip shop, which I did with this, with my last project and some consultants and that. That's exactly how I felt. But, you know, just learning to get your mindset out of that. Like, you know, don't play the victim, and stand up for yourself, take responsibility, take action. I don't know. I think that whole experience, and then obviously then we had the 4-month NICU journey of Bub in hospital, very touch and go every single day, the medical chats. That was, so she ended up being born at 26 weeks.
26.
Yeah. And
what's her name?
River.
I love that.
Yeah, River.
That's very calming.
Oh, I don't know about that. It is the raging river. Even now.
No, I get that. My second born is the wild child. My first born is the introvert.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still waiting for that calm section of the waters, but we are still in the raging. She is wild. But you know what? Like, she's had to fight for her own life.
Yeah. It's been the strength in her.
Yeah. Since the day she was born, she's had to fight for herself, and she has no problems with her lungs. Like, we're so blessed medically with her that I'd be out in the Ronald McDonald room and you could hear her screaming down the whole special care nursery, the NICU area. I was like, yep, that's my baby.
She's definitely a survival.
She's an extreme preemie, but she is a fighter.
And do you know what? She would have got that from you.
Yeah, I would say I'm more of a quiet fighter. Yeah. But yeah, and I think going through that whole experience, you know, and the daily challenges, trying to, you know, my body was also still recovering from whatever was going on. They never ended up finding out what happened to me. But yeah, as soon as Bub came out, it just slowly fixed itself, basically. And yeah, and exactly the same time, my older one was starting school. So there were a lot of life changes happening in that year. We were, just survival, trying to navigate new school, uniforms, you know, his emotional needs and all that. But then, you know, as soon as we get through the traffic, the M1 traffic, dropping him to school and then getting through the Southport traffic, we'd have to organise with the nurses the skin-on-skin time that we could give River, but then also having to be really strategic about it all to get back in time for school to pick up.
And how were you feeling at that time?
At that time, pure survival mode, I thought I was absolutely fine because you have to. And even, I remember very clearly the social worker. So by that time, but at that stage, we were already 12 weeks in. So we'd already been there every single day for 3 months. The social worker said, "How are you guys feeling?" Most of the time, it doesn't hit parents till 6 to 12 months later. And I was like going, "Oh, that's strange. I feel so great. You know, that's really weird that, you know, parents feel the effects of it 12 months later." And little did we know, like literally like 12 months afterwards, it hit us.
So it hit both of you?
It hit I think for me, I still have them shoved in a box.
We need to release that box.
Yes. So for me, I've got 3 boxes. The first box is what actually happened to me. Second box is that day, the birthing day, and the stuff that happened in the birthing suite. And then the third box is River's journey. So I haven't unpacked that yet. And so for me, I've kind of just like shoved it all in a box. Whereas, 12 months in, it hit my husband, because, and you hear a lot about the dads are always the ones that tend to get missed when things like that happen to a family. Everyone's like, oh, how's baby, how's mum? But, the dads always get missed. But
and they're watching over and seeing everything unfold under their eyes,
hold
and
the
they have no
family
control.
Together. So for my husband, he was watching, his wife just completely deteriorate so quickly, but then there was baby inside at the same time. So there were 2 lives, I guess, in front of his eyes that were he was unsure of, and he was just, sole parenting the older one. And because it was through COVID as well, we were just navigating all the rules that they kept changing every single day. And every time that my son would have a cough, my husband would like go in high alert, like, oh my gosh, don't cough, otherwise we'd get kicked out of hospital and we can't see mum today. And even just like Ronald McDonald celebrates and puts on a party for all the kids who've been in there for 100 days. They do a big 100-day celebration party. And so that was like the one thing we had something to look forward to, this 100-day thing. We invited all our families, and the nurses were all going to be, it was a big deal. It was a big milestone for us. And I arrived at the hospital that morning, and there was a massive sign, a notice on River's door saying no visitors today, because the government literally put in some new COVID rule. But it was one of the strictest ones where not even siblings could come.
That's what happened with mine. So when Alfie came along, poor Chance was never able to visit him. Because he was in ICU, and that was so devastating not to have that sibling meet her brother when her brother had been born. She had to wait over 4 weeks to meet him.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
She tells me this story that the day that she finally got to meet him, when he got out ICU, and I was able to take him down to the coffee shop. She wasn't allowed to touch him because that was another rule.
Yeah.
And I went and got coffee, and I came back, and years on, she goes, Mum, when you went and got coffee, I hold his hand. I hope you're okay with it. And I was like, honey, of course. But like, how sad is it that a child didn't get to meet her sibling when, be around me? Like, it's like your boy wasn't able to be around you. And I think there's a lot of damage that, I don't know, from that COVID time on people, and navigating through that journey onwards.
I think at the time you don't realise, but there are a lot of losses that needs to be grieved and unpacked. And and I'm still on that journey because and then my husband fell into depression, and I had no idea how to handle that. I think both of us had just come out of, a massive prolonged season of just surviving, and then he fell into depression, and then all of a sudden I felt like I had to hold the family together, which I wasn't, and I felt like I was drowning but had to put on a front.
It's hard when you have to put that mask on.
To show, to try and be supportive. And, yeah, and my husband would say back then, like on his good days, like, oh, I'm just so glad you're strong. And here I am
You're
in my
crumbling
head
inside.
going, I am drowning. I am not. And from then, I myself went into a very dark place mentally. And yeah, I just didn't want to be a mum. I think, yeah, just resenting how my life has unfolded. Just, yeah, wanting to escape life, basically. And I was trying to do anything that I could that in my mind made sense to like get a bit of a breather from reality in that moment. And yeah, and that's also when I just started the Duplex project. And so I guess in a way that was my relief. And but yeah, I definitely dived a little bit too deep in there that, yeah, I didn't have balance. Like, yes, there was a lot of work, but also I understand now when you hear about people, when they can't cope with life at home, they just bury themselves into work.
Yes, I'm probably one of the biggest culprits in that matter. And people tell me to slow down, and yeah, no, I'll acknowledge. I definitely, especially in my last year, have buried myself in work because of things that have happened in the past.
Yeah.
But I think there's a huge power in that as well.
Yeah.
That you go through such a traumatic experience as you did.
Yeah.
And then you do this project that is like on PR everywhere because you've done so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you should be so proud.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I haven't really given that too much thought. For me, it was, it was my passion and it was my way of coping. And I did have big vision for it and stuff. But yeah, now that we're, I think, 6-7 months into the afterwards, yeah, I was just surviving, really. And I just did whatever I felt needed to be done, kind of without, don't think too much on things, don't dwell on things. Just get it done. And in a way too, I was trying to find my own identity. Like I was trying to build myself back. I think I've realised I just don't want to take anything for granted anymore. Like those weeks that I laid in hospital bed, not able to open my eyes or even talk to people, I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. Like I had to get help to walk to the bathroom, and then, just the simple act of sitting and getting back up off the toilet on my own, that in itself, my heart was overdrive.
It's also that you're such a strong, independent person. When you lose that independence completely.
Yes.
That
ability.
Yeah.
That was really like, it does things to you mentally.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was to walk around Kmart, like aimlessly. Just like, that's all I want to do. So now that I'm able again, I don't want to take anything for granted anymore. And that's why I was saying, when I think about what am I grateful for, I always just go back to the basics. Literally, the fact that I can wear heels, and not be in pain, that I can do my hair today, or I can even talk to you right now. Like I couldn't even have a conversation at that stage. So yeah.
It's the simplest things in life that are the biggest things in life. Like recently, which I delved in, I think in the last podcast, I got diagnosed with functional neurological disorder. So I've got a brain disease. So my body, so I lost all my mobility on my left side. So I basically had a stroke on the left side of my body.
Goodness, yeah.
And I know that feeling of where you can't walk, you can't get out of bed. And I'm so independent like you. And now I thought I would I did for that week because my mum got diagnosed with a brain disease exact same age. So it's a scary thought that she survived only 3 years afterwards.
Right.
So yeah, definitely grateful for everything afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think we do play that victim, but once you're out of that and go, you know, I always go, and this is the whole travel thing about third world countries. Anything bad happens, I'm like, there's kids out there that have no food. There's kids out there that they don't have a roof over their head.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, I don't know, since I was a little girl, because I'd seen it as a child, to adopt all these kids and have this big home with these African American kids that I could look after and put a roof over their head, because we are blessed. We are so lucky.
Yeah.
We shouldn't go through these roller coaster experiences, and what you've gone through is I've got no words.
Yeah.
But I look at you now and strength for coming out of it. And again, like that project that you've done and the coming projects, like you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. And that too, like I think I'm in that season of reflection, and I'm trying to take, you know, life throws you curveballs, but what am I going to learn from it? You know, don't stay there. I love what your podcast is all about. Like, it doesn't matter where you've been or what your past is, it's where you're going. Like, we do have control over that. Like, just taking the time to sit down and spend time with our goals, spend time with our vision, and run our own race. Like, you can't run a race if you don't know where you're going. And so just trying to going back to business, but like trying to put systems and processes in place, but with our life.
It is. It's that balancing act between personal and professional.
Yeah.
And it's like, where is that fine line?
Yeah.
And
that's it.
how do I find balance when everything's a bit out of control?
Yeah. Yeah. So I recognise that it's not sustainable to keep working at the rate that I was with the duplex. And so that's why I decided my next project is just going to be a single home. And instead of going around crazy over 2 homes and 2 finishes, which I loved, I'm just going to concentrate on one.
It just looks like you've realigned for this season, and then that could change again for the next one.
Exactly.
I'm sure next time you're like, I'm doing a triplex.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I do have a love and passion for single dwellings, so it might just be 3 single homes. Life is a journey, right? It's not about, I don't think we're ever going to get there. It's a journey of...
But we live one life, it has to be the best life.
Yeah. Or the best that we can.
Yes.
Give in that day. We've got to be kind to ourselves as well, I think. I think that's all very big. Yeah.
That's why I went hell with it. I'm going on a solo trip to New Zealand. As soon as I got out of hospital, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Yes. Yeah.
I have no time to do this. I have 2 beautiful kids that I need to be looking after. I have a company that I need to be looking after. But what about me?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
And if I don't maintain my own health and well-being, then I'm going to crumble everywhere else.
Yeah. If you're not going to fill your own cup, you'll have no overflow.
Yeah, exactly.
To give to
no
others.
flow at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So
when's your next project starting?
We've already started. We're about to go to council for a bit of relaxation with the garage and that. But yes, super excited. And my husband, we're on the way up now. We're putting a lot of hard work into our marriage, into, just rebuilding. And yeah, he's excited, and he wants to learn a little bit more about property development as well.
So what does your husband do?
He's in tech. Kind of completely skipped that whole part of my life. So basically, after we got married and we went for our year-long travel, we kind of accidentally started this company, this software company, And
I love how it just fell in your lap.
Yeah,
basically.
it always the greatest things, it's like when you don't look for it, right? And so it kind of just grew when we went traveling. So we were working at the same time. We were growing it, but it grew at a much quicker rate than we envisioned. And so we came home and, properly just kind of put all our efforts into that and grew it into an international company, and got acquired by someone from the States. And so then we went through the whole M&A process. So it was quite eye-opening and a big learning curve for me as well in terms of business, like starting a business, but then also wrapping it up and selling it. That in itself was quite a journey, like with tax lawyers and then how you like exit shares and cash and all that. There was a huge, massive learning curve while I'm like breastfeeding a 7-week-old. And it was, our life basically has always been, there's always something going on, right? And I think I've just learned to accept that that's just who we are. We just got to learn to, have those seasons of growth. We put a lot of hard work in our early 20s when a lot of our friends were eating out, spending a lot of money. We were making our own sandwiches and wraps. We'll still go and hang out and socialise, but, there is that sacrifice that you do have to put in, like the hard work in that. And, if you do that and persevere, and that's also what I really want to like show my children as well. Like, even though mum and dad have trials and challenges in life, like that, we still push through. We don't give up, and persevere.
Yeah,
and,
I'm a big believer to never give up.
Yeah, and there's always like another way of doing something.
Yeah, that's what my mum and my grandma always used to say to me: where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, that's it. Don't just give up so easily. Like, have that belief in yourself. Yeah.
And so what advice would you give to the younger generation if they were going to go down your track or in business itself? And
honestly, I think having been on the other end now of like hiring and that, I was always very timid as a junior in the workplace. I always felt that I don't have any experience, I don't know anything, so I'll just, not do the minimum, but I just basically didn't have confidence in myself. But I think knowing what I know now, it's more about who you are as a person, how teachable you are, how open you are, how willing you are to learn, and culture fit. If you can show others that you have good intentions, you're there to learn, that's sometimes more important than the experience you have.
Yeah. You can't teach personality, but you can teach everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So don't shy away from who you are naturally as a person. Show initiative, put in the hard work. You do have to do that. And show people that you're willing, I think. I think that's my personal biggest takeaways. If I could tell my younger self something,
I wish sometimes we had a time machine. I could jump in that time machine and go backwards going, we're giving all this advice right now that I wish we had back then.
I know. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just have that confidence, and it's not a bad thing if you don't know everything. I think that would have really helped me.
And I think like what you said before is finding your passion and your love and your drive, like not settling for just the ordinary job.
Yeah.
Because we spend, 40, 50 hours of our week in the workplace.
Yeah,
so it's a
totally.
huge portion of our life.
Yeah, that's it.
And so if you're not happy in
Yeah.
what you're doing, it's up to you to change.
Yeah. Have the confidence, I think, to explore those interests that are naturally been put in you, I think. And just have fun as well. Have fun along the way.
It's all like, it's not all about having fun, but
Yeah.
you know, it's important that you do have fun, because otherwise, what, you want to have the norm, the boring, like
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah.
I'm a big laugher. I'm a big talker. I'm like I'll go on any adventure. Like
Yeah.
you tell me to go bungee jumping, I probably go bungee jumping, even though I'm scared of heights. But it's like going out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes we have this comfort zone and we can't break out of it.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
like even to the point I claustrophobic. And last year in December, I was like, I need to snap out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into a sauna. I actually sat in that sauna for 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I broke that cycle for the last 37 years of being
Wow.
claustrophobic.
There you
Like to the point I
go.
couldn't go down like the when wild slides that were enclosed
Oh, wow.
because I felt like, you know, I'm so claustrophobic I can't escape.
Yeah.
And I made the choice to go, you know what, I don't want to be claustrophobic anymore. And I'm going to make that choice and break the cycle.
Yeah. And you did.
Yeah.
You made that choice.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep. Yep. And to be able to walk in that freedom now, gosh, it must be, I can imagine. Like I count it as a blessing that I don't know that I have any phobias.
Yet. Till you uncover a bit more about yourself.
But I could only imagine like how freeing, liberating that is for someone like you who, consciously made that choice to break.
And it was actually with my mobility as well, because I've been doing rehab and the doctor and also my neurologist said, you know, it'll probably be 3 months at minimum before I'm fully walking again and functioning. I'm 2 months on. Within 6 weeks, I broke the cycle and I went for a run. And I couldn't, like my running, I looked like a spastic. But I kept doing it. I kept doing it. Like I literally, I couldn't run. I was limping basically.
Oh, wow.
But every second day I was like determined. I was like, I'm going to run again. Like this is me. I love running. It clears my head. And so just having that taken away from me, I wasn't really a happy person.
Yeah.
So I was like determined, and I'm like, you know what, doctors, you can say it's going to take me a minimum of 3 months. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
It's not going to take me 3 months. And it was like also booking the snow trip. It was a challenge for me to get my full mobility back.
Yeah.
So that I could go snowboarding.
Yeah, that's
because people were like,
huge.
you go to NZ to go snowboarding. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Wow.
It's in my mindset and I'm going to do it. And look, at the end of the day, if I didn't get my mobility back, I was like, oh, I'm going to NZ. I'll read a book, go on a cruise, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I am next week going on those slopes.
Wow. I'll be thinking of you far out.
Hopefully I don't crash. That's why I'm like, hopefully I make it back down the slope and back here for the next podcast. Oh, Jen, it's been so lovely talking to you, and I've really loved, and thank you for opening up, and I hope everyone listening can see the strength that you had, and you're very admirable, like, and I'm loving all these projects. I can't wait to see the next one. So let's get it, girl.
Thank you.